automation is impacting and is taking over human jobs in a big way. And that trend is likely to improve even more or increase even more. Augmentation. So technology is also being used to help humans do their work more effectively. So it takes away some of the chore. So chatbots, for example, it's very common, and I think it's making a big difference to people's ability to respond, be there 24/7, but also gather data and intelligence on what are people coming to you for. Virtual reality is being used for onboarding. So again, a great use of helping a new employee come on board. And even before they join, they have a great idea of what the office looks like, how things get done, and so your onboarding is far more effective. So augmentation is really another way in which AI is being used at the workplace. Disintermediation. Again, we are getting very familiar with marketplaces, consumer marketplaces. So Uber Eats is a great example of how today the consumer and the end food provider is being brought together, and things are getting facilitated. But the same is happening in the employee services space. So if you look at recruitment, traditionally you had a lot of suppliers in between, whether they were agencies, whether they were, all that is going off. And what that means is, A, costs are going down. B, more importantly, I think speed and effectiveness are changing quite dramatically. But also, I think organizations can now start talking directly to potential candidates and bring their message across. And that is getting very important in today's world, because it's no longer about a brand. It's really about what you stand for. And a lot of people are joining you because of who you are, what you stand for, but also the ability to demonstrate that during the recruitment process. Similarly, learning and development, I think, again, some great examples. So disintermediation is happening in a big way around the workplace and employee space. Collaboration is another area where technology is having a big impact. And again, the fact that Slack is no longer an unfamiliar word, it just shows you that lots of other channels, but also the understanding that today you no longer flexible working, virtual working is now getting to be the norm. But also using a more intelligent approach to collaboration is helping organizations prevent problems rather than address problems later on then. So whether it's team working, whether it is looking at the quality of your communication, using organization network analysis, again, lots of examples of how collaboration can be improved. And I guess the biggest area where the impact of AI is still the hard core of any business, which is to improve operations and to improve employee experience. And these are examples of solutions that we have invested in. So this is Recruitment Smart is a CV screening solution. It can screen up to 1 billion CVs per day. Track Active, very interesting. It addresses musculoskeletal pain. So today, 1 in 2 UK employees has neck and back pain. And this is a chatbot-assisted AI-based platform that can help corporates improve wellness of employees by either helping them prevent it, or if they are in the rehabilitative process, it helps them do that then. So again, everything. So my experience is everything in the employee life cycle, whether it's workforce planning, whether it's recruitment, whether it's learning and development, talent management, employee engagement, wellness, physical, mental, financial, pay and benefits, reward and recognition, culture, leadership capability, and also compliance. Solutions, you can see some great innovative solutions in all those areas. And so if as an organization you still think, this is happening and it's going to happen maybe 5 years later, I don't need to do anything now, I think you've already missed the bus. So the important thing is to understand change is happening very fast, but the solutions are there to really help you really make a big difference as to how your employees stay engaged within the organization. So I guess given the pace of change, what skills will future leaders need? And again, this is not rocket science. It's probably been true for a long time. But I think the big shift is today's environment is increasingly very uncertain. It's very difficult for anyone to predict how things are going to shape out. So the reliance on what you know and what experience you've had is going to be less and less. What's going to be far more important is a few skills. So the first and foremost, before we get into that, I think last year these were the list of top 10 emerging jobs and top 10 declining jobs. And I know it's small print, so let me summarize this for you. In the top 10 emerging jobs, 9 out of the 10 involve data. So I think the ability to understand data, the ability to really analyze data or really know how to use data is increasingly getting very important. And that's going to be a key requirement from anyone, whether you are, whatever level you operate in. Interestingly, the only job in there which is non-data is organization development specialists. Now, I know to a lot of non-HR people, it could be like, what does that mean? But what it means is really understanding all these issues and helping business leaders prepare it, whether it's the right organization design, whether it's understanding the right leadership capability, whether it's making sure upskilling of your employees happen, or it's also about the right culture, etc. So there's that, and then of course the jobs that are rapidly declining are the ones that use motor skills, standard skills. So skills, data analytics is going to be key. Creativity and innovation is going to be very important because it's not about data, it's really about understanding how to connect the dots, how to think outside the box, and for anyone that's going to be a key skill. And the ability to match data and creative is really going to be, the winners are those who can match both those and show both of them as and when needed. Again, manage as a coach, the concept has been around for a long time, but as you can see, I think employee expectations are changing very rapidly, and I think empathy and emotional intelligence is going to be key for anyone who wants to be a successful leader. And all this means your learning agility has to be very high, and learning agility is simply the means to not go by what you've done, the tried and tested means, but to be very open, curious, experiment and learn. So having strongly believed in that, I guess one of the approaches that the hub that we run is really to help anyone who wants to understand digital innovation a little better. And the whole philosophy is you can't do it by reading about things, you can't do it by bringing an expert to talk to you about it, and you also can't spend a couple of years trying to understand where things are going to go because there isn't the time. The emphasis has to be on experimenting, innovating, do it in a small way, learn from that, rather than waiting for the perfect solution to come up. So, and that involves the use of startups, because the kind of technologies we're talking about, none of the big providers really have that. It's really the agile startups who have those solutions. And so having the mindset to use them is going to be a big shift, rather than looking for a big corporate solution that all of us have been used to. And so the Innovation Hub that we do, it's really a 6-month program, which where you can sponsor one AI-based workplace startup. And we also encourage participation of few corporates together so you can learn from each other, not just from your own experience. Partnering with an accelerator is an option. And why is that important? Because today it's really ecosystems you learn from. You don't learn from just one person. And an accelerator usually has a wonderful ecosystem of VCs, of mentors, of startups, and that opens your mind up to the possibilities, but also to how people are thinking very differently. And the program is managed by us. And I guess the key benefit to the corporate is first and foremost, it's about learning and exposure about the future of work or how the workplace is getting impacted. It is to upskill the team around AI, which I believe every single person needs to now get upskilled on. And of course, you get cross-industry insights, but everyone talks about being agile. This is really one of the ways to be agile. So if I were to now, kind of wrap this up, there's been a lot of things thrown about, but I guess the key message I have is technology is going to be the major impacting force. But it's very difficult still for anyone to predict what's the impact of technology. You have lots of research, you have lots of information and data, but I think the speed is still catching people unawares. And let me just share this piece of data with you. So in 2017, McKinsey did a piece of research, and they estimated that 50% of humans would get replaced by machines. And they said that would happen by 2030. So they had estimated it would be another 13 years before 50% of humans would get replaced. Barely a year later, in 2018, the World Economic Forum revised, or they came up with their own predictions. And I think firstly they said it's not 50%, it's 52%, which is fine. But they said they expect it to be automated by 2025. So from 13 years, they brought it down to 7 years. And I won't be surprised at all if this year you have another revised forecast which brings the 7 years down to just 3 years or 4 years, because the speed with which things are changing is very, very significant. So I guess the final thought I want to leave with you is, clearly there is a lot more awareness about technology on business products, potentially on the customer side, but don't forget that it's your employees and workforce that actually need to be able to carry this transformation through. So in terms of your thinking and planning right now, if that is not in your horizon, there is no way. It's going to be very difficult for you to succeed. So any planning that you're doing right now around digital change, transformation, how to cope with things, your workforce and employee planning has to be a big, big part, and then the chances of success could be much higher. Thank you.
London Market Forums, bringing insurance professionals together.